What's up, guys? Winter Kills here, bringing you guys a fish mermail build. This is featuring that Deep Sea King Swelacanth. So this is sort of different than that build I was playing in that previous deck profile I did, which was probably only a week or so ago. There are some slight changes in here, not slight, but there's some changes into the extra and main that make it so Deep Sea King is better in here. You can sort of pull him off, some combos to do when you summon him, and yeah, a little bit of different main deck choices to be made in order to play this card in here. As it stands, I think I might prefer the build I was playing in the previous profile a bit better. Just because, like, if you could pull Deep Sea King off every turn, like as easy as you could like resolve Dragoons, I would say that I would prefer this one better. But it's just, you kind of have to set up the Deep Sea King. You got to set him up. That's really all it is. Not that that's overly hard to do, but you just got to do it first. And there are definitely ways to do that, and I'll show you guys after the profile when we do the test hand and combo portion of the video. But huge shout outs to Imperium Duelist. Check them out if you haven't already. Links to their website down in the description below. This mat will be available, or a mat similar to it eventually will be available on the website, this Toon themed mat. So yeah, just an early version of it here, but figured I'd show it off. And if you guys are interested in picking up any sleeves, any effect sleeves or non-effect sleeves, up to you. Check them out down in the description below and use that code WINTERKILLS10 off at checkout to save 10% off your entire order. So let's go ahead and get into the profile, and to start, we'll of course have the monsters. We're seeing the first change of the changes that I've made. We're actually going to see the first change that I've made in the deck, but we still, of course, are playing 3 Teus. Definitely not cutting this card to any lower number than 3. I wish I could play 12 of these cards, 100%. But the first change is only playing 2 copies of Megalo. Jumping down to 2 has actually been kind of refreshing. I like not opening with this card as much. I mainly wanted just to decrease the chance of opening 2 of these in my opening hand, because a lot of times it's just not that good, because he doesn't get you anything on summon unless you're playing a non-Sekka build, and a lot of times the things he does get you don't really add too much to your combo to begin with anyways. So yeah, he's just a way to get things in the graveyard to set up plays off of Gund, and just push for damage as well. So I think playing 2 is fine. Then moving forward for Mermails, we still have 2 copies of Pike like I was playing in the previous profile. Almost bumped to 3 actually. 1 copy of Mander, 2 copies of Gund, and 1 Dine and 1 Osea. Osea and Dine in here are really clutch. There should be a dual video going up, or one that is already up, featuring this build. And Dine does come in quite clutch in that video several times. So I do love this card a lot. It's great for Link fodder, and good for Ixtys fodder, especially when you combo it with the Manner to make the Dine and then whatever card it brings out level 4. So you can just make plenty of rank 4 plays. So that's it for the Mermail lineup. I was playing Hild. I decided to cut Hild because I think this is the worst one. It is like a pseudo copy of Gund, but it's just not worth it, especially when you draw it in suboptimal times. For Atlanteans now, 3 Prince, 3 copies of Dragoons, of course, and then 3 copies of Infantry. No Marksman, actually, this time around. Yeah, decided to drop the Marksman. I'd rather just side Marksman against decks that are playing more back row, so I think 3 Infantry is better. And this card is also like a Brilliant Fusion. Anytime you open this and any other Sea Serpent, you can use this to normal again and sort of go into a Lacey if you have no other plays to make. So Infantry definitely very clutch in that aspect. So just 9 Atlanteans, just playing 3, 3, and 3. Moving forward, the Frog engine I'm playing in here now. Of course, the 3 Swap and the 1 Ronin. I really like Swap and in here just because it helps you establish Toad. And Toad does so much for this deck. It helps set up your graveyard with discards, Gund, some of the Fishborg stuff, getting that Deep Sea King out of your hand if you open it, and also allowing you to you know, make Totally Awesome, which is a negate, and it recycles a card back to your hand, which is huge. And you can take advantage of this card and, you know, play it better with an enemy in the extra deck. So you can definitely, there's good synergy there between this engine and an enemy, and I really do like it. I'm also playing the Osea engine as well. which I've been told to not play both of these in the same build. But the way I look at it, the more ways we have to get into Toad, the better. And this doesn't always have to be used to go into Toad. It just could be Link fodder, summon that Ronin out multiple times. You could use these guys for synchros if you summon them out just off his discard effect. A lot of stuff you can do. It's a very versatile engine. And I figure the more Toads, the merrier, because that's negations, that's recycling cards back. And Mermail does a good job at dumping its hand to the graveyard. But the thing you need to do now, I think, especially with a build like this, is you need to be able to putting monsters on the field that are going to help replenish your hand. You need to be putting a Lacey on board, Toad, Mistar Boy, things like when they die, they're going to be replenishing your hand for you. So you need to put your hand onto the field and then allow that same field to put those cards back in your hand to make more plays next turn and giving you follow-ups. Then moving forward, 3 Gen X Undyne with the 1 of Controller. Sad face. Controller's weird in this deck. Like, Undyne is good. I do love the Undyne engine, but it's just this card is so... I just don't like this card. I hate drawing it. I hate discarding it because it turns off your Fishborgs, or your Fishborg launcher, that is. But most of the time, it doesn't conflict too much, especially if you set it up right and you put this back in your deck with the Sekka's Light. I try to always leave the Sekka's Light in grave until I see this card or have a way to get to this card, so I can just immediately put it back into the deck, no questions asked. But again, the synergy with this and an enemy is also really strong. If you open this in a discard, like I believe like Teus or Megalo or White Stingray, you can use this to dump Dragoons, add Prince, and then pitch the Prince, link for an enemy brings back the Prince, and you just resolved the Prince on top of the Undyne to sort of increase your consistency of resolving the Prince, which is really good. 1 Mulan, I was actually doing a lot of testing without this card, and honestly I don't think it's needed in here. But I guess it's still a really good going first option. Then we have 1 Super Ancient Deep Sea King Coelacanth or Suelacanth. I did order alties, they're just not here yet. This card is really good. It's a level 7 water fish, 2800 attack, 2200 defense. It says once per turn, you can discard 1 card to special summon as many level 4 or lower fish type monsters as possible from your deck. A monster special summoned by this effect cannot declare an attack, and its effects are negated while on the field. If this card is targeted by a spell trap or affect monster's effect, you contribute 1 other fish type monster to negate the effect and destroy this card or destroy that card. So a lot of times you bring this card out is off of White Aura Monoceros, because that can summon any fish from our graveyard, and this is a fish, so it fits the bill. You'll always have Monoceros bringing this out. So if this card tries to get Valored or Impermanence or Widow Anchored or whatever, you can always just negate that and protect your Deep Sea King. So if they don't have Ash, they really are going to have a hard time stopping if they try to use Valor or Impermanence, which are 2 other popular hand traps right now that could potentially stop this, that you can negate because you'll have Monoceros on field, which is a fish that you contribute off to negate and destroy that card. So this card allows you to summon out multiple options. Summon out Pike, White Stingray, Fishborg Launcher, make Synchro or Ixies plays. Huge explosive plays when this resolves. 1 Lapis Dragon still, 2 White Stingray. The thing about this card is it has 15 less attack, so we can revive it off an enemy, and when it comes back, it's treated as a tuner, which is nice because you can use this in Undyne to synchro into a 7, which gets you this out. So good synergy there. 1 Arborea because, again, Pike can search this, and then Pike's level 4. This is level 3, synchro for Monoceros. Again, bring this out, so tons of ways to get into Monoceros to be able to revive the Deep Sea King. 1 Diva, 1 Fishborg Planter, 1 Butuniful Princess. This card is nice because the level 1 fish that we can summon off of Deep Sea King alongside this to go into Trish very easily. And it's also a pretty good summon to bring off of an enemy because when it's normal or special summon, you contribute or banish it to special summon a level 4 or lower fish type monster from your deck. So you can just bring out Pike, resolve Pike, go search a card. It's very, very nice card in here. It has like sort of 2 uses. You can either summon off Deep Sea or you can actually use it to get your play started. Then 2 copies of Fishborg Launcher. Again, another fish target. It can summon itself out of the grave if all monsters you control are water and all the cards in your graveyard are water. Yeah, you can just summon this out and banish it when it leaves the field. But very solid card, very good. I love playing all these cards because these are like these cards specifically are like cards that can do things in your graveyard, like in later turns. Like this can keep summoning itself out by milling the top card off your deck, and if it was a water, you special summon it. So that can actually like mill this to the grave, even if it's not a water. You still put Sekka's Light in the grave to recycle things. You can put Swap Frogs into the grave. You can do a whole lot of things put into the grave with that, just off of luck. Then we play 3 Sekka's Light because you need the draw power, you need to be able to put back controller, you need to be able to get that consistency up, and I think this is the way to do it. So 100% Sekka's Light all the way for this build. This is a 44 card build, I believe, as well, just because I didn't want to like choose between either Undyne or Swap Frog, so I figured let's just play them both, and I've been really liking them to say the least. So that's it for the main deck. We'll go into the extra deck now. 2 copies of Mermail Abyss Alacia. Thinking about even playing 3 of these because you do go through a lot of links for a lot of these plays that we make. 2 Alacia, 1 Mistar Boy, and 1 Anemone. I probably would play 2, maybe 2 Mistar Boy. It's just finding the room is tough. Then we have 1 Gaios, 1 number 37 Hope Woven Spider Shark. This card outs Borreload when you attack into it. Because when attack is declared, you can use this effect to drop all monsters your opponent controls by 1,000 attack. So they can drop this down by 500. It's at 21. You can still swing over the Borreload, which can be a pretty hard card for this deck to deal with anyways. So very strong card. And then if it's destroyed by battle card effect, you can just summon any monster from your graveyard off of this. Very, very nice. 1 Dweller, of course. 1 Bahamut with 2 copies of Toad because we can summon Toad or Bahamut off of, doing Osea plays, and we can also, bring this off of the Bahamut, but we can also hard make Toad with the Swap Frog engine as well. So definitely wanted to play 2 Totally Awesome in the extra for sure, because they do come up quite a bit. And Toad, just a really solid card to go into now. It's like totally Mermails all over again, and which that was a pretty solid build of Mermail. So I figured why not at least try to incorporate some of those strategies. And Totally Awesome. It's such an advantageous card for this deck. Negate a card, add back a water. It's very strong. Tatsunoko for synchroing itself with Pike in hand to be able to go into Monaceros to bring back that, or bring back any other fish. This card is really key to the strategy. This is what allows you to bring out Deep Sea King Suelacanth from the grave to be able to get the fish plays going. Brionek is self-explanatory. Prince 1 card Brionek. Whale to sort of break boards and OTK. And Trish to clear problem cards that you can't deal with otherwise. So that's for the extra deck and the main deck. Now we'll go ahead and do a quick combo to show off the Deep Sea play, and then we'll go ahead and do a test hand. All right, guys. So for the combo, I want to show you guys. This is basically just an easy way, sort of easy way to get out Deep Sea King. Now, most of the time, the way you want to get to Deep Sea King, or an easy way to get him without having to go out of your way to get to him, is leaving your Alacia on field, and then when this gets destroyed, you can send Deep Sea King to the graveyard and revive him off Alacia's same effect. So you don't always have to start your turn by going for Deep Sea King. You can use him sort of as a mid-game strategy with Alacia, because Alacia can send it to the graveyard and summon it out of our graveyard, potentially for free if they just kill this card. So that's one other thing to keep in mind. But if you want to get it to the turn, or get it to your graveyard that turn and summon it out that same turn, these are some cards you can use to do that. Launcher could also be Fishborg Planner. Yeah, so that's just another way you can do this. You also do this with Undyne and Teus Dragoons. There's just different ways to get to it. This is just one of the ways I'll show you. The first things first, we're going to summon Undyne to send the Deep Sea King to the graveyard, because Undyne can send any water from our deck to the grave. And then, of course, we'll take that pesky copy of Gen X Controller and add it to our hand. So Controller is in our hand, and the next thing we're going to do is special summon White Stingray by discarding the Fishborg Launcher. Now, since we already have waters in our graveyard other than this card, we can special summon this out, and then link these two away. This will get banished for a copy of Coral Anemone. And then we're going to use Anemone to bring back White Stingray, and we could use this effect on summon to make it so he is treated as a tuner. So we'll synchro with him and go into White Aura Monaceros, and we will use his effect on summon to bring back the Deep Sea King. And we can use his effect whenever we want. It does not have to activate on summon. Another thing to keep in mind, if they try to Valor or Impermanence this, Widow Anchor, Lost Wind, whatever it might be, we can use his effect to tribute this to negate that effect, because this is a fish monster that you will pretty much always have when you go for this. So it does have a bit of built-in protection there. So next thing we want to do is discard the Gen X Controller off this, because this can discard any card, and then we can special summon as many fish-type monsters, level 4 or lower, from our deck as possible. So we'll summon White Stingray, Mander, and we can also summon a copy of Fishborg Planter as well. So 3 free summons from our deck just like that. We did have to discard Gen X Controller, but this is just a 3-card way to do it, because Controller is nice, I guess, because it does give you a discard target. So next thing we'll do here is link these 2 away into a copy of Mistar Boy, because we cannot link into Alacia with an enemy, because then again, an enemy is a Cyberse. Don't forget that. Next, we will go ahead and overlay into Bahamut Shark over here with these 2 level 4s, and then we will overlay here into Yugioh, just like this, with these 2 level 7s, and then we're going to use that planter in our graveyard to mill a card if it's a water. In this case, it is a water. We can special summon it out, and then we'll link these 2 away into a copy of Alacia, and then we'll use Bahamut Shark here lastly, detaching the Mander. It doesn't really matter too much, but I guess getting Mander to your grave early doesn't hurt, and then we'll summon out Totally Awesome. So just like that, we have a Alacia and a Totally Awesome, a Yugioh, and a Bahamut Shark for next turn, which still has a target in deck, so if they don't get rid of this, this is still a looming threat, and we still sort of have a free special summon in our graveyard to do anything we want with next turn off of just 3 cards exactly, the Undying, the Launcher, and the White Stingray. So cool little combo there. I want to show you guys just how to pull off Deep Sea King and what you can do there with him. Again, you didn't have to summon out the 2 level 4s. I could have summoned out another Fishborg Launcher and the Beautiful Princess and made Trish. Just tons of different options there. Just summoning a bunch of level 4 fish, level 4 or lower fish. Like I said, possibilities are kind of endless for the most part, as far as different types of fish monsters you could play. Another thing you could do, and it's something I decided to cut, but you can play a card called Friller Rabka, and let me show you guys real quick. Another thing you guys can do is play this card, Friller Rabka, along with these 2 cards in the extra deck, cutting a Toad and a number 37. And an interesting thing you can do is, and this works really well for going first, is when you summon off that Deep Sea, you summon this Fishborg Launcher. Let me see if I can just find these cards real quick in here. You'll summon the Friller Rabka because it is a level 4 lower fish, Deep Sea, or the Fishborg Launcher, and White Stingray. And what you can do with this, and again, this is why I kind of dropped this, because sometimes you have to discard a controller to the grave, and that turns off Launcher. But you'll synchro these into a copy of Quandax, and then you'll use Launcher to summon itself back out. And then during your opponent's turn, you can synchro into the Quistron Quarion Gandrax to banish 3 monsters, either in their field or on their field and or in their graveyard, as a cool play you can make. And then when this is in the graveyard, if a face up fish, sea serpent, or aqua type monster will be targeted for an attack, you can banish this card from the graveyard, target that attacking monster, negate the attack, and that target loses 500 attack into your next end phase. So a cool little play you can do there on the side, but again, I decided to drop it because it takes up some space in the extra deck, and it's really reliant on Launcher going off and not having any waters in your grave, or any non-waters in your grave, that is. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle up here, and we'll go ahead and do a test hand. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do a test hand here. I went and quickly pile shuffled, and let's go ahead and cut the deck and see what we can work with what we draw into here. So we draw Megalo, Moulin Glacia, Dragoons, Teus. Not gonna, dislike seeing that. Really good hand here off the start. Teus, Dragoons, Pike, Moulin Glacia, and Megalo. Very, very solid hand here. Our 6th card would be a copy of Gund. But let's go first here and see what we can pull off. So no Deep Sea here. If you open Deep Sea, you can pull them off. But again, like I said earlier, Alacia is a surefire way to get to Deep Sea King and get him into the graveyard to be able to revive later. So that's just one thing to take note. We'll start with the Teus and discard the Dragoons and go ahead and we're going to add Gund and any Sea Serpent. I'm going to go ahead and add Prince here. Or no, I'm going to go ahead and add Diva. My bad. Let's add Diva. Even though Diva is a bit sketchy nowadays because this card literally always gets negated, like every single time, it might as well say, for its effect, when this card is normal summoned, send Ash Blossom to the graveyard. But I guess it's also good at the same time. It's like this card says your opponent discards 1 card when you summon this. It's pretty darn good. So Deep Sea Diva goes off. We'll summon out the Prince, and then we'll send Dragoons. Add Dragoons off of the Prince, and then our Sea Serpent will be a copy of Prince, since we already have Megalo in our hand, because I don't want to keep adding copies of Megalo if we don't need to, because That's why I cut Megalo to 2, because I found myself a lot of times not really wanting to go for him. So we'll synchro now into Mastar Boy. This is sort of similar to a combo I pulled off in the previous deck profile, but we'll go with Tatsunoko here, and then we'll synchro it with the Pike and synchroing into Monoceros. And then Monoceros will activate on summon. We will summon out the Pike, and then activate Pike's effect to discard Prince to add a level 3. We'll add here the Gen X Undyne for a follow-up for next turn, and then we'll use Prince to summon out a copy of Dragoons right here. We do have 5 Waters engraved, so we can take advantage of that by special summoning Mooling Glacia. We'll drop that onto the field right there. Now, what we can do is link the Monoceros and the Teus into a copy of Mastar Boy. Yeah, because I don't think we're going to be doing any other linking, so we could actually go into, not Mastar Boy here, but Alacia. And we'll put this right here, because we need both these zones open, and then we'll Ixie summon into a copy of Bahamut Shark, detaching the Dragoons to get that search, summoning out Totally Awesome, and then we'll use Dragoons here to search another card. Again, just some good follow-ups here that we're thinking of adding. We're just going to add Infantry so we can make our Alacia live and get an interrupt there. So our opponent is down 2 cards. They have to deal with a pop and negate, and potentially destroying this could possibly ruin their day. One other thing we could do here, actually, and we could just make a Mastar Boy here instead, linking these 2 off for Alacia, then summoning Megalo here by discarding the Gund and the Dragoons. We'll go Gund to summon out the Teus, and then Dragoons will get a search here of whatever we need. I'm just going to add Megalo. Yeah, I'm going to add Megalo, just not to summon this, but just to have it for next turn. And then we could overlay and summon Gaios. So we have Toad, Gaios, Alacia with Undyne as a follow-up for next turn. Again, we have that interrupt here to be able to search Teus at the same time. So pretty solid board there. Yeah, not too shabby if you ask me. Taking advantage of the Monoceros there to be able to make some really cool plays happen. Yeah. That's it for this little test stand. I hope you guys enjoyed, and the combo as well, this fish build. Fish build, very, very good. I like the fish build. I don't know if it's better than the previous build I posted, but this card is definitely very unique and very, very fun. It seems like there's so many other plays you can do when you don't see Prince or Dragoons or Teus, which is really, really nice. I've had hands play out where I end with an enemy, 2 Toads, and a Bahamut. And, like, you just do all of that without resolving Dragoons or Prince or Diva once, and it's very satisfying to pull that off. Just because it's nice to see that, like, this build at least doesn't auto-rely on, you know, its best boards coming from, you know, Teus Dragoons. Even though Teus Dragoons is still very good, it's just you don't have to sort of fret when you don't see those cards, I guess. So one thing I want to mention real quick before I wrap this up is a huge shout out to Larry Sama in the Discord and viewer on Twitch, sort of helping me build this deck, and he coming up with a lot of the ideas for this deck. So huge shout outs to him in the Discord, and you know, all the back and forth we've been doing and discussing and building this deck and some of the changes we made. So yeah, huge shout outs to him. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, Winter Kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.